So if X-23 has adamantium skeleton welded to her bones like Wolverine did, how is she ever going to grow to be like an adult size? Wouldn't the metal welded to her skeleton stop her from growing? I mean, she's always just going to be like this little dwarfish midget Wolverine girl. That's going to be weird. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Well, I take it by now we've all had a chance to see Logan, so it's safe for us to talk about all the spoilers. Now look, I understand that when I say what I'm about to say, I am in the overwhelming minority of people. I'm like a fraction of a fraction of a fraction when I say, I did not like Logan. I know. There was a lot of great stuff in it, and I totally acknowledge that, so feel free to go into the comment section and call me all kinds of nasty names. I don't mind, I totally get it. But I just feel like, I just need to vent. I just need to get this off my chest. So these are all the problems I had with Logan. First of all, terrible ending for Wolverine. Terrible. Hugh Jackman, all the times he's played Wolverine, almost a decade now, actually probably even more than a decade, now that I think about it, and that's the finale that you give him? He gets impaled on a tree stump and he dies? That's it? Yeah, I know it was a cool fight leading up to it, but I got my problems with that. We'll get to that in a bit. But they didn't even do a bit like as he's dying where maybe they flash back to like memorable scenes throughout the rest of the franchise, the good times, the bad times, maybe some emotional music playing over the top of it. I mean, this is the last time we're going to see Hugh Jackman in the role. Can't we at least get something like that? But no, he just said a few lines to this chick who we've only really seen for one movie, and he just dies, and that's it. Come on, it felt like a really unceremonious end for Wolverine. In the Old Man Logan comic, it all culminates in this big battle in this research center in which he kills a couple of bad guys and all that, and then he gets completely covered in adamantium from head to toe. So in his last ounce of strength, he sort of staggers outside and drops to his knees, and he just looks at the sunset one last time as the adamantium solidifies around him, permanently freezing him as an adamantium statue in the sun. That's badass. That is really cool, and it's kind of a poetic end for Wolverine, but in this, he just gets impaled on a spike. Come on. And Xavier's death, even worse. I know you're all going to yell at me for saying this, but I actually felt more emotion when Xavier died in X-Men 3 than I did with this, because again, that was shocking and it was kind of stupid, but they at least knew how to draw that out emotionally. In this, he just gets stabbed in the chest and you're so confused about what's happening, and that's it, he just conks out. I mean, really? Come on. And part of my problem with this, and actually I think part of my problem with a lot of these things, is this movie, like its storytelling in the right way was it'd tease you with little bits of information in the story early on and then it would reveal them later. But I think the thing with me is whenever it would tease this information, I'd say, I bet this is going to happen. And then what they did wasn't that, and I kind of felt disappointed. So maybe the fault is on me. But earlier in the movie when Xavier's having a seizure and Wolverine's like, if you have a seizure like that out in public, it's going to be really bad. I thought Wolverine was going to have to kill him. I thought that was going to happen, that he'll have a seizure in a public place, there's none of that serum left to knock him out, so Wolverine's going to have to actually kill Professor X in order to save all these people. That's what I thought was going to happen. I thought, wow, what a punch in the gut that's going to be. But they didn't do that. I mean, I suppose in a way Wolverine did kill Xavier, but that was evil Wolverine. That wasn't Wolverine. And I don't understand why everyone's raving about, it was so amazing to see Logan where he was just so broken in this movie and he'd given up hope and he was just so down and out. Just a man at the end of his tether, was nothing left in the gas tank. He's always like that. In every single movie he's like that. The only one he wasn't like that in was Days of Future Past, and that was probably the most interesting part of that movie. That's the one time when Wolverine's character had actually grown and changed in any way. That was interesting to see that relationship flipped on its head, where Wolverine was actually trying to help Xavier, where he was the broken one. That was interesting, but it's just the same Wolverine we've seen every other time. And it just frustrated me that after all these movies, and especially within the timeline of this franchise, with all that Wolverine's been through, he's still doing the whole reluctant hero thing. Come on. How long have you been alive for now? Like 500 years? Or something insane like that? Have you not learned learned anything in that 500 years? Come on, like you haven't even... He just immediately dismisses helping this kid at all, X-23. He was the same with Rogue back in the very first X-Men movie, and he learned his lesson there. Why is he still like that? It's almost as if all the other movies before him didn't happen. Does he still have amnesia? Is he just forgetting everything that came before it? Why is he still like that? Like they couldn't change Wolverine considering that he's in his last stage of life. Just try, guys. And the big sort of boss battle for this was him fighting a younger clone of himself. Oh boy. You know, setting aside that that's actually kind of the same as what they did in Wolverine Origins, that version of Deadpool was supposed to be like the new and improved Wolverine, and this was like X-24 was like the new and improved Wolverine. Plus it was also kind of like Terminator Genesis, you know, with the two Arnies. You couldn't try something different. It's the last movie. You know, in Old Man Logan, he fights a hillbilly Hulk in this post-apocalyptic world. That's another thing. This wasn't a post-apocalyptic world, and that's okay. I guess it doesn't have to have everything exactly like the comic. But why couldn't you make it that he's fighting like a roided up version of Beast or something? You know what I mean? Try something a little bit different. For a lot of people, just the extra gore and him swearing all the time was enough to make it different. It's not enough for me. Yeah, these are all things we've seen before. And them bringing in X-24, that's like a Star Trek Into Darkness mistake. It's like the magic blood that cures death. Now that you can just clone Wolverine, so what if he dies? You can just clone another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. You can make an army of Wolverines. That was the whole idea of the program in the movie, wasn't it? So who cares if Wolverine dies? What a way to completely destroy any uniqueness that Wolverine has. He got shot in the head with the adamantium bullet. Even in Wolverine Origins, they knew that that's not going to kill him. His brain will grow back, but he'll lose all his memories. So X-24, his head will grow back, his brain will grow back, but he'll just lose all his memories, so he'll just be like Wolverine at the start of this franchise was. Can't remember who he was. I mean, what, are they just going to start the entire cycle all over again? That's a pretty crappy way to kill X-24 as well. Didn't make much sense either, because like the only thing that can cut through adamantium is an adamantium knife or an adamantium blade. And guess what? Wolverine has those in his claws. He could have just stabbed his claw into X-24's skull, because assuming that his skull has adamantium on it as well, he could have just punched his claw right through into his skull, or better yet, cut his head off. Cut his head off, that's how you end him. When they did start to fight the first time in the farm scene, which also was kind of ripped off from that bit in Wolverine Origins. Why do they keep taking from Wolverine Origins? I don't know. But I was initially thinking, oh, this is going to be cool to see them going up against each other because they both got adamantium. They could actually cut off each other's arms and legs and actually decapitate each other. He's in serious danger here. Nope, they don't do that. What do they just do? Just stab the torso. Stab the torso, yeah! You know, I can get the younger X-24 one doing that, but shouldn't the older Wolverine be a bit more experienced? Shouldn't he know immediately, chop his head off with my claws? Best way to kill him? I mean, he'd know his own weaknesses, wouldn't he? He'd have the benefits of wisdom at that point. Hell, he could have retracted his middle claw and used those two claws and stabbed them through the eyes of X-24 and up through his brain. You want gore? That's gore. And it would have been a good way to drop him, at least for a few seconds. But yeah, sorry, I just didn't like anything about X-24. The reason that he was in it at all, the way they fought, the way they took him out, the fact that he's a clone, so none of it matters anyway, they're just going to clone another one. Hated it. Hated every second of it. Another thing that sort of my own expectations might have screwed with is the whole thing of Eden, that all these kids are trying to get to Eden. And it was a cool kind of twist that nurse had told them that barcode on the comics was actually coordinates, so that all go there looking for like a mutant colony, but in all of them going there, they kind of create it. Like, that was interesting that they're sort of creating the thing that they're looking for. It was kind of poetic, and I like that aspect of it. But when Wolverine points at the comic and says, yeah, look, this did happen a long time ago, but it didn't last long, and it wasn't like this. But it's just made up, it's not real. I remembered that in the comics, Magneto actually did set up like an island nation just for mutants, and it lasted, I think, for about a year, and then I think it got nuked or something like that. So of course then I'm thinking they're going to show up at this Eden type thing and Magneto's going to be there. That he's created his own like school for the gifted thing. Kind of carrying on Charles's legacy, but no, nothing there. They're just running around the woods and trying to get to Canada, because I guess X-Force is going to be up there in Canada, because that's a thing in the comics, isn't it? There's going to be this whole X-Force, the X-Men of Canada, they can go join them. Oh wait, no, there's not. They're not even in the movie. You know, they say it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Well, if the destination turns out to not even be a destination, kind of undercuts the journey. And quite frankly, this movie, while Hugh Jackman might be fine with how it wrapped up his character, and I assume Patrick Stewart is okay with it as well, it really leaves what's left of the X-Men universe and the X-Men timeline really in tatters. And it was already in tatters, so they've just shredded it even more. See, now we know how Xavier and Wolverine's story is going to end. I know Cyclops is going to die. I know they're all going to die because Xavier's brain fuzzed out and killed them all. So why should I care about any of these characters? So I don't really have any interest if they chose to go back to like the 90s or the 2000s and continue on with the Dark Phoenix saga. I don't care. I know they're all going to be dead. I just don't know what they're going to do after this. If they try to shove another movie in here somewhere, if they try to spin off, I think only if they really did an X-Force movie about New Mutants, about this new group of mutants up in Canada, that's the only way it would really be interesting. Because anything with the classic X-Men in America, we know they're all going to die in the future anyway. We know all the mutants are going to die because of this genetic engineered stuff that they put in food. So, I mean, yeah, just who cares? Who cares about any of this? They can't reset the timeline. They've already done that. I suppose they could jump way forward in time and then do another version of Old Man Logan, which they really should have done. I don't know. It seemed like a really bad way to go out to me. And I understand I'm totally in the minority on that. But I just couldn't help but thinking that even we as the fans just have better ideas than these filmmakers do. I remember one of the comments in one of my videos when the trailer for this came out actually speculated, hey, maybe Xavier is dead, but he's like imprinted a version of himself in Logan's mind, so Wolverine can kind of like sort of summon up the memory of him and have a conversation with him when he needs to. And I thought, oh my god, that's a brilliant idea. It's a brilliant idea. I really would have preferred it if it was set in Old Man Logan time, where it's so far forward in time that pretty much all of the X-Men have just died naturally. That way it doesn't affect any of the old timeline. And Xavier exists just inside Logan's mind, so you can still have Patrick Stewart in there. And yeah, maybe you could have a big sort of roided up mutated beast and you could sort of replicate the Wolverine Hulk fight, you know, and then have him like freeze in the adamantium. Like, that would have been great. That would have been great. Mad Max Wolverine. God, that would have been so great. And I guess we'll never get it now. We'll never get it now. But if you've made it this far through the video listening to me rant without rage quitting, I thank you for that. I really do. I feel better now. I feel like I've got it off my chest. So if you want to check out any of these other videos where I'm hopefully more positive to movies that you like, click on any of the ones you see right here. I am Bandit. This is Bandit Incorporated. And until next time, I will see you guys in the comments.